Yeah, so welcome to another low quality, exciting vid. And we're here to talk about things I wish I could do if I had more cash. Where I live, I want to live in a world where I too can get employed by a corporation, earn a higher paycheck. Everyone shorts each other. Yeah. So here's how life works for most people. If you don't go to school and you don't succeed in college, you're screwed. It's an unsustainable model for the economy, but that's how society's ran right now. Right? Because no one really knows how to run a business anymore. Right? That was the era of the Dust Bowl, the silent generation, or something before that. I call it the Dust Generation, right? Ever watch Ruby? I think the RWDY from Rooster Teeth, right? The joke is the chickens always come home to roost, so they all have to deal with the problem all the time. Right, this is kind of why I stopped watching fiction, because it resembles real life too much. Like the actual reality of real life. Call of Duty is actual escapism. That's not how war is actually conducted. But Ruby, that's kind of a pretty accurate description of what happened back then. And I will say though that the superpowers, yes, people had those. Now, how do you know that? Because people didn't believe in rational things, so you needed irrational things to solve the problem when all rational solutions they thought at the time didn't work. So yeah, expect to see lightning bolts and fireballs. Today, we're a more rational society. No need. That's a good thing. You don't want a society where you depend on actual fireballs. That's just people who don't know history too much. Seriously, can you imagine having the power of casting fire and you burn an entire village? It's kind of not. There's a lot of liabilities. Like, look at the Second Amendment debate, right? You can't control firearms, right? People are afraid of accidentally shooting a baby. Trust me. Now imagine that there's a Second Amendment for magic, right? An anti-Second Amendment for magic. That doesn't work. And you're dealing with magic the whole time. Couldn't you accidentally kill someone? Or forget a baby, you can accidentally burn a city, right? Right? You know why the Second Amendment came into being? One of the reasons is because they needed to counter magic somehow, right? That was the anti-magic move. Guns. Right? Guns were the way of basically cap-loading magic, right? What's it called? Like safety locks. Yeah, there are ways of safety locking magic, right? Because that wasn't magic, that was tech. For back in the day. That's why there was law and order. That's why guns were heavily used back then, because there were magic users everywhere. Ever wonder how politicians make trillions of dollars back then? Why they were so more ethical? People argued that. That's because they were paid in magic. Magic money just suddenly appeared. You think people were different back then? Politicians? No. They talk to UFOs more. It's just magic. Like the dollar just magically, or gold magically appear. Now, when they started shorting the UFOs and paid them less so they can, get more money, that's kind of when everything sort of fell apart. Of course, that's life, right? People kick Social Security down the road. They kick everything. They kick down Medicare, right? Socialism's going to die out someday because a lot of rich people will game the system and take advantage of the social safety net. Right? The selective capitalism, which is what I call socialism, is going to die out someday. Because Merkel wants to become a trillionaire, right? How do you do that other than getting money from the populace? You can't do that forever. All the rich business owners want to run. It's a good system while it lasts. It's a really good system. Yeah, people just like to pretend like they're doing something in life. And they like to pretend like they know history when it's not history, right? This is why this is one of the reasons where I need to go to school so I can get money, because everything runs on money. Yeah, that's the problem. Money is not a good indicator of what's useful and what's not. And some artists, right? And Leonardo da Vinci, believe it or not, he made money, but he didn't make bank until later on before he died. He was paid in what? Fruit bowls? I mean, it was better than what I got. But he didn't really get paid anything. That's not efficient capitalism. If you look at Bill Gates' show about Leonardo da Vinci, you don't have to like him. I mean, he kind of is yeah, I wasn't paid enough. I screw you guys. People think, well, how do you live forever? you make a deal with God to produce a art's masterpiece for free, and then you get ported. That was okay. You wrote about that. Nice guy, right? That's the goal. Your reward is you leave this decrepit planet, where society doesn't reward you. Hey, Leonardo da Vinci went the route of Geocities, okay? A lot of people did. Geocities is a story of capitalism as a whole. Yeah, you know what gets rewarded? Whatever gets rewarded by a stable family gets good marketing, right? Draws in buzzwords, what gets people to purchase. I don't even know what gets people to purchase these days, because what gets people to purchase necessarily isn't something that's useful. There's a good argument for that, right? Think about why we go from, like, there's so many case studies. Well, think about why the Romans went from a democracy to like a theocracy, right? That's capitalism's fault, isn't it? Right? That was some model of capitalism. You can make an argument. You can call it a fallacy if you want. But people technically opted out. They got fooled, didn't they? No one denies that part on either side, right? People get fooled, so they pick a lamer system, right? It happens all the time, right? Right? Maybe YouTube Red is worse than YouTube non-YouTube Red. I don't know. It just happens. Life happens. People just get fooled into purchasing other stuff. I do not believe in the almighty power of the consumer law. That's not... I mean, it might be the best system out there, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have holes. Yeah, it's just so many problems. And yeah, I'm not for either side. Right? I'm SJW. I'm not for either side. Why do I care, right? We live in an incredible time in history where you're an SJW. You don't have to support either side. You can flip them both off. Yeah, everyone call out. Everyone is reactive, right? They're not proactive, right? They're not thinking about this. They're not reflective on how to move. They just think, they just react, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, all the good people leave because they deal with a reactive crowd, right? Doesn't a reactive society chase away all the people that actually produce stuff? That's what you get with an entropy universe, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's not something you can do. I seriously need to think about this. There's the thing about a lot of businesses, and the trouble is there's a lot of theories on how to sell stuff. Yeah. And I don't deny them. It's just that you have to look at your costs, and people can yell at you, right? You can spend more money to start a business, but there's no guarantee of anything. I don't even know what the profit margins for some of these big businesses are. I would love to debate with people about this. But I don't really think there's a really a real debate with economic models. I don't think, really speaking, if you look deep in your heart, like, does Inspiron really make money these days enough to justify its size? It's questionable. It's entirely questionable. Is Cambridge Analytica making money? Is anything making money? There's just so many questions. Are they receiving donations? Because, like, look at the state of YouTube. They ad block everything, right? Now, if they didn't enthusiastically support ad block, I could believe that capitalism actually works. But if they could ad block, if they could, like, ad block that version of ad block for Microsoft, you don't have to pay Microsoft products. You get it free of charge. I think people would enthusiastically sign on to board on it. Now, if you can tell me you can reject that outright, I'll believe it. I'll believe there's actually businesses making money, in my personal opinion. They don't. So how do people get jobs? See, that's the problem with capitalism, right? Is that people support stuff like AdBlock. Right? They don't ban AdBlock. Right? That's why I'm, again, one of the reasons why I don't really support capitalism. Because when you support stuff like AdBlock, how will capitalism function? Right? Because it's the exchange of money. It's the exchange of cheddar. Sponsors don't give money. That's why I'm not really pro-capitalist. Because people support pirating, right? But at least with pirating, you buy stuff eventually, but, like, they support ad block. They support stuff where you don't see ads. Right? You have to try harder to make money. Why do you support a system where people are incentivized to try harder for the other party you're purchasing from to make money? That's the simplest way to summarize why I don't really like capitalism. Right? Because anytime someone comes with a free alternative, hey, you can get Bill's products for free, right? Or you can get Elon Musk's products for free. People on board support it. And the thing with tech is a free alternative will come eventually. A free system will come where you can get this tech for free. And then that's how capitalism collapses, right? If there's ad block, why isn't there Microsoft block, right? Why won't there be an Amazon block where you get goods free of charge? You can't ban this stuff because everyone downloads it. And then who donates? How many people donate to those services? And this is the GeoCities problem that capitalism has not solved. I want conservatives to answer this problem because they attack everyone who's for the donation model, right? I saw Stefan Molyneux, he did a debate on this. They're all against it. This is why I'm sort of against it, right? Like if you're that anti-virulent on donations, why bother supporting capitalism then? Yeah, because tech keeps advancing, right? To the point where you can find illegal ways to get stuff for free. I believe it's going to come. Is there checks and balances? If there's a not so fast argument, I want to hear it. There's no checks and balances against that. There hasn't been a checks and balance against ad block. Aren't people going broke and starving on YouTube land? Right? On even the e-commerce economy. Where's the argument? Where's the checks and balance for ad block? I want to see that. There's been some newspaper outlets, but even then people find they just don't go there. There's nothing. The biggest argument against capitalism is technology. But yet at the same time, the other systems are even worse, right? Because I don't even think socialism is really capitalism, just selective capitalism. They just punish the low performers, right? And there's long healthcare waiting lines. They're calculating the average aggregate incomes. That's not really socialism, in my opinion. At least based on the normal way they define it. Right, resource-based economy, I think it could be capitalist, right? You just add cheddar as a resource. There you go. Now you have a trade barter system. I don't know. People just don't think these days. They just regurgitate whatever's on the school book, and they just assume that's the right answer. As an example of people not really knowing what they're studying in economics. Don't get me wrong, you still have to do the homework assignments. But in terms of like deeply understanding it, I feel like that's arguably independent. Because there's one way your brain works, is you learn stuff quickly, and then there's another one, like I actually understand what's going on. They can be separate. Doesn't mean they are. Anyways, I'll end this podcast.